Big Mac. I think it's fair to say that he is so far the most successful quarterback from
By
this
far.
rookie class, right? Out
No
of the
question.
gate.
No question.
But that's also basically what everybody predicted he would be. I do think that what
Most
he's
NFL
putting
ready, best team. I mean,
right, right.
yeah.
But most people, I think, admit also that he's exceeded those initial expectations to some degree, right? You may have expected him to have a high floor, but
Won
he's
five
got a
games in a
decently
row.
high score.
Won
Yeah,
5 games in a row. I
right.
mean,
So
yeah,
tip of the cap
pretty
to Big
good. Yeah.
Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have to say it's pretty good.
How does that performance? How do those expectations change the expectations that national media and 49er faithful should have around Trey Lance?
That's a good question, but it's at the same time it's a little unfair. I mean, you don't draft these quarterbacks based on who's going to be the best their rookie year.
No.
You're trying to figure out who's going to have the best career, and I'm not convinced that it's going to be Mac Jones just because he had the best rookie season. I still would have drafted Trey Lance in the 49ers position.
Yeah.
I don't think that just bringing in like the next version of Jimmy Garoppolo is the way to go. But what the Patriots are proving is you can win with that kind of quarterback at a price point if you build the rest of your team the right way. Like Mac
Yes.
Jones cost them $2.8 million this year. 2.8.
And
So he's great at that. I mean, he's actually giving them way more than what they're paying for. Way more.
yes. And
Yeah.
they spent the rest of that money, right? They built up the team around. They spent a record number in free agency this year. So they took advantage of that cheap contract.
Like honestly, they could win the Super Bowl this year. And people would say, "Oh, it's all Mac Jones. He's one of the first rookie quarterbacks ever." Yeah, he's special, man. But like, it's because the Patriots are doing it the right way. You have a good quarterback at a very low cost. Not at the Niners have the same level of quarterback taking up who's 10 times the price.
Yeah.
And these things matter in football. Some people be like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, it's just 2 players, 3 players." It really, really, really matters. I mean, maybe the Niners win the Super Bowl and the Patriots don't this year, and I'll be wrong. But until that happens, I think it matters.
Yeah, I mean, it is asset allocation, and there's no concrete way in which you have to do it in order to win, but you have to manage those assets in a responsible way, right? And to pay a quarterback who has the limitations that Jimmy does, it's irresponsible to dedicate that percentage of your cap dollars to his salary.
Here's the way I look at it. Fantasy, I don't play fantasy football, but fantasy
Sure.
football is all about running backs, right?
Yes.
If you have a bell cow running back, you're in business. If you can get a bell cow running back in like the 10th round of your draft, you win, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much. Because no one else got one there. And so that's what I'm saying. It's like if you can get a franchise quarterback at $2.8 million a year, oh my God, that's like getting a bell cow running back in fantasy football in the 12th round. That's found money.
Yeah.
So I mean, what the Niners did was they spent their first pick on Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, okay, well, he's gonna have to be great to get a return on investment, is what I'm saying. And he's not. He's Mac.
The other question I have, and you're totally spot on with that. It was my drafting of Deebo Samuel in the 8th, 9th, and 10th rounds in almost all my leagues.
That's what wins the game for you, and that's what wins the Super Bowl for you.
You have to get
value
value
in the NFL. Is how many players are exceeding their contract. When the Niners went to the Super Bowl, Kittle wasn't making anything. Warner wasn't making anything. I mean, that's why they were so special.
Yes.
Mostert wasn't making anything.
They had found value, even though at that time they were still paying Jimmy more than you would have liked to, but it was better.
True.
In relation to the cap than it is now in these years. My other question, though, with Mac Jones is, we got to give some credit to Bill Belichick in his ability to prepare players to execute. So what I wonder is, it's fair to say, was the strategy flawed for the 49ers to give up as much as they did to go up to 3 when you could have stayed put and taken Mac? The question of taking Mac at 3 is less of a real question for me, because I still see the upside of Trey. I think at 3, you're looking for the higher ceiling. But it's fair to say, hey, Niners could have stayed where they were, taken Mac Jones, but could Kyle have developed him and gotten him as ready as Belichick has?
I don't like the Mac Jones thing, because you have Mac Jones. I understand. Here's the way I look at it. You could have traded up for Lance, go up to 3 for Lance. You could have traded up to 10 or something for Justin Fields, or you could have just stayed there and not taken a quarterback. I mean, everyone's so excited about Mac Jones. Jimmy's 30, and maybe he's not injury prone. I mean, he's healthy now. He still hasn't played. He's only played 40 starts. What is he really? No one really knows what he is. He seems to win a lot. He seems to get good numbers. So what they could have done, and it's not necessarily what I would have done, but I wanted them to draft Kyle Pitts. So I guess it's kind of what I would have done was you just extend Jimmy, make him cheap now. If you give him an extension, his cap number could have been like 10 million or less this year, and then he's affordable, and you could build up the rest of your team, and you can draft a backup quarterback in round 2 and protect yourself that way. I mean, that's a sensible way to go about it, but this was a little extreme what they did.
It was. And you may recall, I am on your side with the Kyle Pitts argument. I wrote that article about drafting, why the logical choice was
Garoppolo. Well, maybe he could have used someone like Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. And I mean, that would have been a more reasonable strategy, a less aggressive, more conservative, perhaps.
Najee Harris is killing it. Najee Harris is as good as everyone says he was going to be. What if the Niners had Elijah Mitchell and Najee Harris as opposed to Trey Sermon? I mean, they could run the ball 40 times every game like they want to.
And it's not to say they had all the leverage they needed to get Jimmy to take the lower cap hit, right? I mean, coming off of the 2020 season, if you were going to extend Jimmy and try to bring that cap number down and say, Jimmy, this really, the contract is not reflective of what you're doing on the field.
Right.
They had the leverage then.
I'm just saying, if all of a sudden they like Jimmy Garoppolo, then you didn't need to do this for number 3. I like Trey Lance, but they all of a sudden say, well, you know what? We like Jimmy Garoppolo. All right, well, then you should have helped him out.
Yeah. It certainly, if you were rolling with him the entirety of this season and you basically knew that. But, I mean, we also have to explore the possibility that they didn't realize just how much time Lance was going to need to get to where they think he needs to be, even if they're wrong about that belief.
Or they didn't realize that maybe Kyle's wrong about Jimmy Garoppolo, and it's not all his fault that they lost the Super Bowl, and that maybe Kyle needs to look in the mirror on that one.
Yeah, that certainly would be growth for our coach.
Because my issue with Jimmy is not that he's like a bad quarterback or he's like substandard as a starter. It's just that he's overpaid. And that's the 49ers issue. It's not a Jimmy issue. That's a Niner issue. You gave him this contract based on 5 starts thinking, oh, well, he's just going to progress. And if he's here now, then he's going to be here. And like, no, you don't know.
Wait until he learns
Mac Jones, look at him now. He's going to be, if he's here now, then you don't know. Just let it play out. But no, the Niners had to make a projection and he's going to be elite in 2 years. Okay. He's not. You could have had him at a cheaper deal, but no, you broke him off. That's your fault.
Right. And the same logic has to be carried forward to Trey Lance, that just because we're not seeing him now means nothing about his ability to step in at the beginning of next season and take this team to the Super Bowl. He may still be the fantastic talent that I believe him to be. I think that you believe him to be. I'm not putting words in your mouth, though.
He's still the most intriguing quarterback prospect from this draft for me. More than Lawrence. I think he's one of the most intriguing quarterback prospects I've ever seen because his skill set, just the skill set, is off the charts. I think it might be the most, the best skill set I've ever seen. Doesn't mean he'll be good. He could die on the vine. Yeah, to use a wine reference. It takes coaching, takes the right environment, takes all that. He could be a delicate Pinot Noir, but he's got it all, man. He has got it all. I'd like to see him put it together.
He doesn't strike me as a thin-skinned guy like a Pinot grape. I feel like he's got thick skin. Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I think he's got body, right? He's a strong cab. He's going to come through in the end.